Am I recording? Yes, I am. Welcome to the Sleevy G Show. I'm the host for your most. My name is Gomez. And tonight, like all nights here at the Sleevy G Show, I have an amazing guest. I had to say, this is an honor, though. She is 100 most influential women, not woman, but she is a woman, Presidential Lifetime Achievement Awards, former TV personality, public relations, advocate of public health, and celebrity blogger. Please welcome Petrona Joesph. Petrona, how are you tonight?
How are you? How are you, Alex?
Good, good. First of all, it's an honor to finally meet you face to face.
Thank
Uh,
you. Yes, you too.
we've talked a few times on email, and Mona has been on the show twice already, and she's a blast.
Oh, she's fun.
Oh, she is unbelievable. We crack up. We hit each other up once in a while, say hi, and see how things are going. So, uh,
Fantastic.
she's amazing. But now we have you, the big cheese, as I like to say, the big.
Oh no, the big
Well,
cheese.
the way I look at it, you run a public relations company, but you do a lot of things just besides the company.
Mhm.
You're an advocate of mental health.
Yes.
You run your public relations company, which is unbelievable company, by the way. Because
Thank you.
I see the celebrities you got. I see the pictures when you're out with them, and I see the red carpet events you're going to. First of all, I'm jealous. Uh,
Don't be.
that's where I would love to be one day. That's the status I want. Like that's what I've always been shooting for, But it's some people got it, some people don't. But I keep striving for that. One day, I said, one day I'll be there. And
Sure.
you know,
Yes, of
I
course.
don't give up on that dream. Like, it's funny how I end some of my shows. But I like to know, when did you realize you wanted to become into public relationships? Now, you were a TV personality for a
Mhm.
while, but you went into PR. How did that come all about?
By accident.
Okay.
I never even knew there was such a thing as public relations.
Okay.
Okay. I knew about marketing. And so throughout, I guess, my university studies, I ended up in a marketing department for an online casino. But I didn't know. If I had known there was PR, I probably would have asked them to be their publicist at the time. But I never even knew that job existed.
Oh, wow.
Um, it was until I was on TV and then I got nominated for TV Personality of the Year.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
like, oh, I need some buzz. I need this to circulate. And
Mm,
somebody's like, well, why don't you hire a publicist? And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, good. So then I went to a public relations office and I signed them, or they signed me to their agency. And that's how I was like, okay, so these people are going to help me get more visibility.
hmm
And but when I was on TV, I just didn't like all the DMs. Like, when you're on TV, all you're gonna attract all kinds of people. Okay.
hmm
And I'm such a very like innocent, naive person, where I think everybody wants to be my friend or
Right.
everybody should be my friend.
Right.
Okay. And so if you DM me and you're like, hey, let's go out grab a coffee, I'm like, hey, sure. Like,
If I knew
why
it was that
not?
easy, I should have just said that.
You know?
I would definitely go out and grab a coffee, but I didn't know it was that easy.
Right, because I'm like, listen, you just never know. I'm a people person. Although
Mhm.
I'm introverted, I'm still a people person. And then at the end of these conversations, I would always get hit with almost the same thing. Well, how did you get on TV? And then one day I was doing a segment and I didn't like it just didn't work for me. It was a fashion segment. I gave them my size. They bought me the wrong size. And
Ooh,
you have to watch this back. And I remember I watched it back and I was like, I don't I'm not doing this anymore.
right.
But here's the thing. I was on the hook. Okay. I was on the hook for a few more segments.
hmm
So, long story short, I was able to fulfill my segments, but at the same time, put other people on TV.
Okay.
And then that's why I was like, okay, this makes sense. And then, so when you hit me up, hey, how did you get on TV? Could you get me on the radio? Could you give me your contact? I'll be like, well, I can, but here's the fee for that.
Right, right, which I understand.
Right. So that was 9 years ago. I used to charge $25 an hour.
And now
Okay.
I can only imagine what it is many years later, which I could say
9 years
this
later.
9 years
9 years
later,
later.
almost 10 years.
Yes.
I can't even imagine. I wouldn't even ask what rates go for because I do my own publicity, you know what I mean, as best as I can.
Right.
But
Yes.
to get someone like you, I could say it's I could see what the work you put into it too.
Thank you. Thank you.
You and your team. Now, I've
Thank you.
seen the pictures. I follow you for quite some time now, and to see, of course, everything that you do, to the makeup, to even when you were injured, your team was there taking care of your injury, taking care. You were taking care of yourself too, of course.
Yes, thank
But
you.
you see the dedication your team has with you and how much they actually treasure you and really respect you, which I really love that because that's a huge respect and honor in talking to someone like you too. You know what I mean? Like it's a true honor to have you even on my show because you don't get the head of PRs all the time. Um,
Right, right.
I'm very blessed that I had you. And matter of fact, the ladies up in Toronto, Kick Up Your Heels Entertainment, they have connected me with some amazing people too, which they're
All
all about their
right.
public relations too. So
Very
it's been,
nice.
there's a few PR people I really have a great contact with, and you are one of them without a doubt. And
Yes.
and I have a couple that are burning bridges. Um,
Okay, okay.
I have no problem helping out people. I'm like you. I'm like you. I'm a people
Mhm.
person. I like to help everyone as best as I can,
Mhm.
but I don't like being pushed.
Okay, okay.
Don't,
Hmm.
everyone like you just can't be pushed into something that you don't want to
Hmm. Right.
do.
Yes, yes, yes.
So as a independent podcaster, I don't charge for any of
Hmm.
this. I do this out of my pocket, out of my house, out of my basement.
Hmm.
And I've been blessed with like public relations like you and some other people that say, "Hey, we want to connect you with a lot of people. Don't worry about it. We're not asking you to pay us or anything. We just want you to promote our people." You know what I mean? And that's
Hmm.
fine. I had one that's been not the greatest experience.
Oh, I'm sorry for that.
It
Yeah.
happens, and
Hmm.
it still drives me up the wall. But that's another
Hmm.
reason I have to take like you said, a mental break
Hmm.
because I started this 2 years ago on my own. I was on another podcast with one of my best friends for my one of my best friends for over 30 years, and I needed a break.
Okay, okay, okay.
And
Hmm.
I when we took a hiatus for about a month, and because he had older kids, I had younger kids, and it was hard to get a schedule going. So
Hmm.
we took a hiatus. So I said after like a month or two, I'm like, "Hey, do you mind if I did my own project?" He goes, "No, no, no. It's cool with me." I'm like, "All right, I want to make sure before I do anything." You know what I mean? Because we put in hard work and time together on this show.
Hmm.
So January 2 years ago, I started the show, and I have not stopped. Uh,
Right. Oh.
so I mean, just
Mm.
like you, I can only imagine as a PR like how much you had to grind, how to claw your way into 9 years later into the top spots. To even and especially as a woman though, I will say this.
Hmm.
You meet a lot of PR people, it's always men.
Right. Really? Oh, that's interesting.
You are the third PR head of PR that I've met of their company. You
Really?
Yes, I don't really find a lot. I always somehow find all the men. That's why like I'm excited to work with the ladies anytime because it's just showing the empowerment of you guys and honoring you guys too because I think that's a lot of people need to see that.
Mm.
and
It's
and
very
that's
kind of you to say.
well, it's actually the truth too. I mean, it's people need to learn that not every sports agent is going to be a guy. Not every head of marketing or head of president of I'm just going to say IBM or Apple right there doesn't have to be a guy.
Right. Yeah.
It can be a lady of power of anything. So for me to see that as times have changed from that mentality, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s as a kid. And as I got older, I'm noticing all the changes. You know what I mean? Like men
Mm.
used to rule everything, but now the power is going to the women, which is more power to you guys. You know,
Well, I mean, I think it's a balance of power,
yeah.
right? Yeah, it's more
Well, I mean, I'm glad to see,
power.
female referees in the NFL.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I've seen hockey now in the NHL level. There's one female hockey coach and assistant coach at Seattle
Hmm.
with the Kraken. And
Right.
to see that, I mean, I mean, it's exciting just to see the difference that can be made. Matter of fact, I saw one male go to the WNBA to coach. And it's
Oh,
always all, it's all females sometimes, but it's good to see females who want to go into the NBA and men that want to go to the WNBA. I think that's more power to both everybody.
exactly. Yes. Yes, definitely.
Now, you are a huge advocate of mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do want to ask about that because I believe in that too, because everyone goes through a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
How did you start advocating for mental health, if you don't mind me asking? You know what I mean?
Sure. It's very simple. I posted something on Facebook about driving with anxiety because so I was on medication for 9 years, right?
Okay.
It's in my book, and but to get to those 9 years, I fought not getting help for 10 years. Okay. So obviously my depression got worse, my anxiety got worse. I had post-traumatic stress disorder. Everything was just amplified times
Hmm.
10. And during the pandemic, actually, I think 2019, I started weaning off of medication because the world was at a standstill. So I'm like, this is the perfect time. I don't have to get out every day. I
Hmm.
can, go through the withdrawal symptoms at home and process everything perfect. Then a friend of mine goes to me, well, why don't you come to my house to swim? But because of my anxiety, if I'm going a certain place, I need to be back home by the time it gets dark outside.
Right. No, I totally understand that.
Right. So it was really rude of me and I felt really bad. And, I lost that friendship because I got there and I kept looking at the clock like I gotta hit the road because of my anxiety.
Right.
And as I said, I got on the highway, the sun started going down, and I just froze on the highway.
Oh,
And the
that
person
feels hard.
behind me didn't realize that I was having a full-blown panic attack.
Oh
And so the person started honking me like
God. Yeah.
"Boo, boo," which made my anxiety even worse because when I'm getting anxiety in my brain, I want to just merge to the left lane, but the left lane obviously is a faster lane, right? And this is in
Yeah.
Montreal, this is in Canada, but
Hmm.
I'm assuming our roads are the same where you are. Let's say New Jersey, I'm in Atlanta, so when you merge to the lane, that's the takeover fast lane,
Yes,
okay?
it is.
So I have to like really work with my brain. I need to tap, I need to like self-soothe, but I try to stay in the middle lane.
Hmm.
And so, anyways, that was almost a disaster. My anxiety attack subsided. I needed to call somebody to help, speak to me to draw, I needed somebody on the phone to speak with me while I drive home because obviously, after an anxiety attack, you're all shaken,
Yeah.
right? I got home and I was just like, you know what? Let me put it out there. So I went on Facebook. I was like, listen, if you see somebody driving in the middle lane with their hazard lights, do them a favor and just mooch to the right or merge to the left because chances are they may be having a panic attack.
Hmm.
And then somebody from the radio station saw, and then that person was like, okay, could you come talk about this on the radio? Meanwhile, my first book, there was a section of mental health awareness.
Okay.
But my first book, I pulled it from Amazon because it was really bad. But the part that everybody always resonated with was the part where I had a grocery store at the time. I closed my grocery store and I was depressed for 3 months and, yada, yada, yada. And so from that experience, I already started working on a book
Hmm.
about my trajectory and, how I'm a Trinidadian, right? And in the Caribbean, you're not supposed to suffer with that, right? Because of
Right.
course, we're because of course, we're in North America, we're living better lives, we have water in North America, we have, so I'm like, okay, well, whatever I'm experiencing, I'm not supposed to experience it, right?
Hmm.
And then, of course, being a Black woman, you're a strong Black woman. So, as a strong Black woman, you're not supposed to show the world any weakness. And so, all the same, that experience of talking about it over the radio, I got so many emails, I got so many text messages, so many DMs of other people sharing with me, oh my goodness, I suffer with anxiety on the
Hmm.
highways too. One woman, she's like, well, I have antidepressants here in my house. I stare at them, but I can't take them because I feel like a failure taking them. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna finish that book. So during the
Right.
pandemic, I finished my book, released my book, and then that just, I mean, I was so busy during that period. And you know what? People need people to speak up because there's a lot of people that are suffering. And
Hmm.
I found that by me speaking up, according to the statistics in my book,
Right.
265 people in 265 million people in the world suffer with depression and anxiety,
Mhm.
but 1 out of 5 suffer in silence. Now, that 1 out of 5 that's suffering in silence, they sometimes can become a casualty, right?
Yeah,
And
I
then you hear
understand that.
about it, you read about it, then you feel sad because you didn't know, right?
Hmm.
Because there's no safe space to talk about it. So that's how I started advocating, because the more I spoke about it, the more people were more equipped, and the less they were afraid, because a lot of mental health advocates don't attribute their success of overcoming from medication. I advocate antidepressants because I always say antidepressants saved my life.
Right.
So when I talk to people, I say, listen, there are varying degrees, there are varying degrees of suffering. There's varying degrees of personality disorders,
Hmm.
which can have a person going up and down. There's mood disorders. You know what I mean? So,
I trust me.
okay.
You're almost describing me sometimes a little bit like me to a T because I suffer from anxiety
Hey,
and that's one thing during COVID I noticed my anxiety heightened a lot more.
I'm sorry to
Because
hear that.
I mean it was difficult staying home because I was always out and I was never trapped. So I felt like we were trapped in a house.
Mm,
And don't get me wrong, I was with my wife and my kids, but I was also a health risk.
okay.
Um,
Wow.
as a type 2 diabetic, high blood
Okay.
pressure, overweight. This past year, um, I had a little bit of a scare, but
Oh, I'm
everything.
sorry to hear that.
No, a good friend of mine had a triple bypass surgery, scared the shit out of me. Excuse my
Mm,
language, sorry. And I decided to control my life again.
okay.
And I took control. I went from 412 pounds now to 326 pounds
Good for you.
in 5.5, 6 months.
That's tremendous.
So I've controlled everything. And I've
Hmm.
weaned off one of the medications that control the diabetes. Now, I've never taken anything for anxiety or my depression. I've actually have learned to actually talk to somebody once a week.
Well, good for you. Okay, good,
I'm
good.
a big advocate on that because
Hmm.
I mean, I talk to my wife all the time, but there's some things I just can't talk to her about because there's some things that it's just a little too deep that I actually need professional opinions. And I'm
Yes,
saying,
yes.
and it's not easy, but about 99.9% I pretty much I do talk to my wife. And then,
Hmm.
if something I did, she'll talk to me. She goes, maybe you should talk to your therapist about this. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I didn't think about that. And a lot of people I've noticed after COVID, the anxiety, how everyone now is very impatient.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to do the reverse, trying to slow down because I remember during COVID, I was working during COVID because the company I worked for, we were essential because we were we sold for masonry,
Oh,
so we were essential.
okay.
So we were off for one day when COVID officially hit the United States. When they told
One
us
day?
we didn't know what category we fell in. We didn't know if we were essential or not.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
So when they said all construction, concrete is essential, you had to go back to work, and we were like, good, because I was getting. That's when I think I discovered anxiety is when I realized, what am I going to do to support my family for money? How am I going to pay the mortgage?
Mm-hmm.
I have
Mm-hmm.
2 kids now.
Mm-hmm.
We can't live on my wife's check alone.
Oh, wow.
So,
Wow.
you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? She don't get me wrong, she makes very good money too. But, that kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
And, and of course, what the number one stress for everybody is always money. You know what I mean? You could be the most successful person and you could be the brokest person,
Mm-hmm.
but you're trying to figure out how can you make 2 pennies into a dollar?
Yes, yes, of
You know,
course. Mm-hmm.
you could be, I mean, in my case, I always say to my wife and I say to everybody, I am not book smart.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Mm-hmm.
people who are book smart, who learn from the books, who are very smart like that. I think because of my background with my family, I'm more street smart.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if you put me on the street somewhere, I'm somehow going to come out on top. That's the way I look at it. Everyone calls me, I guess, as like the guys would say, I'm a hustler, but not in that way though. Not like how everyone hustles back, with slinging stuff and all that stuff. I hustle to get the money to get what I
Mm-hmm.
need. So if you gave me $1, somehow I'll make that dollar into $50, and that $50 I'll make it into 100 somehow.
Nice. Nice.
Give me
Mm-hmm.
give me a day, give me two, but I'll come back with $100 bill somehow. You know what I mean? I'll work as hard as I can to make everyone see that sometimes hard work and dedication does pay off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, that's why 2 years of podcasting, I've enjoyed every minute. I've enjoyed all my guests. But also, when do you say stop?
Mm-hmm.
When do you say you need a break before you get burnt out? Now,
Right. Yes.
I mean, when do you enjoy vacation? Last year, it was funny. Last year, I really blew up big time. Guests were
Mm-hmm.
flying in.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I don't know if my name got out a little bit or what, but then a lot of public relations people were sending me information. Here's, musical guest, I hate to say D-list celebrity or, B-list. For me, I was just trying to get my name out there and still am to this day, even though I think I'm not well established, but I'm established enough to where I feel like, hey, listen, I got over 1,000 followers. I'm always ranked in the top five at least, and
Nice.
in the podcasting as an indie podcaster, some lonely schmuck from New Jersey, which I'm dealing with the highest rating area besides LA. Everybody became a podcaster when COVID hit.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Very
And
true.
but I think what I stand out the most is I I do everything. I just don't do
Mm-hmm.
one topic. I love talk about music,
Right.
like to raise awareness, like we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
like to talk to celebrities if I get them, which I have at a few New Jersey local celebrities that came on. I love talking to sports figures.
Mm-hmm.
I love talking to pretty much everybody.
You
I'm
have diversity.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm very diverse. I love talking about food, games, music, movies. The only thing I don't get into is politics because everyone gets into an argument.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I don't do. But I
Mm-hmm.
love to have fun. As you can see, like I tell my people, it's like two people sitting at a coffee shop or a bar and just BSing. And I shoot from the hip. I don't go, hey, I'm not like one of those guys. Hey, could we talk about this and this and no, that's out the door because you want people to have fun, enjoy,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and that's what I love to do. And when people tell me at the end of the show how much fun they have, that means I did something right.
Oh, that's good. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, and
Although
that's
you're
how.
taking your break, but I'm happy for your success. Good for you.
Oh, don't worry. I'll be back. I'll be bothering you again. I'll be bothering everybody probably when I come back from vacation. I'm like, all right, guys, let's start lining them up.
Okay,
But
yes, for
but
sure.
but the thing is you have to enjoy who you are too.
Mm-hmm.
You have to figure out who you are. Like I
Yeah.
know for myself, it took me a while to figure out who I am,
Mm.
but I feel one thing I've come to realize, I ain't gonna be the highest paid podcaster out there like I wish I would love to be,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also not the bottom guy. I'm somewhere right in the middle, and that makes me happy.
You're putting
When
in the work, and that's all that matters.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's what people forget. You know, um, when I told people I was taking a break, some of the PR people said, "No, you're like a treasure. You don't understand." I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that makes me feel kind of great to hear, Petrona, because you don't hear it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When people tell me you're probably one of the hardest working people I've ever seen in a podcaster,
Oh, but that's nice. That's nice feedback for you.
I don't do it to get, to say, "Oh yeah, I'm the best." No, I just do it because that's who I am. My
Mm-hmm.
parents were hard workers. They came out of they came from Cuba and Peru. They came to America with nothing. They
Mm-hmm.
busted their butts to make themselves successful and to make sure I was good. And, I luckily I found, my soulmate. And, one thing I've been trying to instill in my kids, like everything is not handed to you. Right now it could be, but you gotta grind a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I had a coach that always pushed me. I'll never forget, it was my football coach, my high school football coach.
Mm-hmm.
I never had anybody push me. And I go, why do you keep yelling? He goes, because I see the potential in you and you're not letting it come out. And I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay, now I see why. And I tell that to my daughter. If she's yelling at you, it's not because she's mad at you. She's trying to push you to be the best.
Right. To push it beyond your perceived
Yeah,
limits.
yeah. And sometimes you have to push yourself past the limits that you're comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you
Mm-hmm.
don't do, I don't think you don't know what you're made of, I think.
Right. Yes.
When
Very
I,
true.
I like you, when you started your company 9 years ago, I can only imagine what your first feeling was like. How am I going to be? Like, how high could I be?
Mm-hmm.
How respected am I going to be?
Mm-hmm.
I can't even imagine. You know what I mean? Because when I see what your team and you do, when I see you guys walking the red carpet or hanging out with some of these people, I'm like, wow, man, that's amazing. But knowing 9 years ago what you know now, it's an amazing thing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
and you probably don't hear that a lot either. If you do, great. But if you don't,
Well, I
I'm
had to
in.
tell myself that. I was just telling myself that today, how proud I am. Because you're not going to hear it very
Yeah.
much from other people, because people don't know the sleepless nights that you've spent or the nights crying
Hmm.
because, of the stress and, performance and results and sometimes I'm out there and I don't even want to be out there. And Alex, I'm not one of those like, I don't want to subscribe to being someone who wants to show their work all the time on Instagram.
Hmm.
So half of my work you don't even see. You
Right.
know what I mean?
I can
I
only imagine.
There's only like 1%
Yeah.
of the work that I do. Like right now I'm not on social media all week because I'm so busy, the
Hmm.
strategizing and
All
but
the time work, all the time that you put into your company. I mean, but you have a crew, but you don't forget you're the ultimate decision maker.
right, yeah. Yes.
So no matter what, you're be like, okay, hold on, I got the final word before we do anything. Like before,
Mm-hmm.
before you sign that person, you look into everything. Your
Mm-hmm.
team digs that up, but then you have to look at it first. Does it make business sense for my company to represent him?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's where I respect you, your company, yourself, the ladies that kick up your heels entertainment because I deal with them a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
So I always mention them because they're unbelievable. I work with them constantly, just like you, like constant emails, going back and forth, text messages through
Right.
Instagram.
Right.
So it's just because we want to make sure we put out the best quality for them.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I would do for like Mona, I did.
Right.
Mona's was the greatest example. That was the first client I got from you, and that was still exciting because I got her twice on the show,
Oh, very
which
nice. But Mona also works with me.
yeah, oh, okay. See, I didn't know that part. I didn't
Yeah,
ever ask that.
Mona's also my copywriter who I
Oh,
decided to represent. Yes,
nice.
Mona's our company copywriter. Yes.
Okay, see, I didn't know that part. So she forgot that
Yes.
part. She never mentioned that to me. She
Well,
always
I
said how
posted it. I posted it once
I,
or
I didn't
twice.
even realize that at all. But she
Mm-hmm.
she has so much ultimate respect for you too that she's like, oh, she's unbelievable. I'm like, I could see. I go because I see how she is with everybody.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Even though this is the first time we're meeting face to face, but
Mhm.
seeing the social media you put out there, to see the hard work that you do put out there,
Thank
you
you.
can see it. And I can
Mhm.
see it now. Like I know you put in a lot of hard work and dedication, and you're still going to be that top person up there too. So you got to figure out what's the next step you have to go. What do I have to do
Mhm.
to beat that guy or that girl? What do I have to do to get to the top? Like I can only
Well,
imagine.
actually, no, Alex. You know what I strive for? The only thing I strive for in my business
Mhm.
is to have enough provisions,
Okay.
like more than enough,
Mhm.
so that I could live comfortably and at the people. I stopped striving. I used to work in the luxury car business.
Okay.
And when I made it to the very top of the car business, it wasn't what I expected it because here I am dealing with $500,000 cars and 250 cars. Like those cars back in the days, you couldn't even finance them. So you come to the dealership, you give 30% down,
Hmm.
right? Then you come pick it up in 8 months. And I'm not going to name drop the car because I don't want to give them free advertising.
I
And
understand.
then you come back to the dealership with a bag of money or with a certified check to pay for the rest of the car. And here I'm thinking, okay, I've made it. I
Right.
used to drive one of those vehicles at one point, and then the success, and it was the same thing with my degree.
Hmm.
When I got my first degree, I was chasing it like, okay, I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna get this degree and I'm gonna be so happy. And when I actually received it in my hand, it cost me 30 grand. I
Yeah.
just looked at it and I'm like, and then so that's set. And then losing my grocery store. When I had my grocery store, my thing was, okay, I'm gonna be a successful business owner. I'm gonna be, I'm gonna make all this money and I'm gonna do this and I'm
Hmm.
gonna do that. Then when I got it, I lost it because, having a grocery store, sometimes people don't even look at the margin, the profit margin. You're
Yeah.
making 20%. You're making 20% off of rice. You know how much it was for me to bring that rice into the store, then hire someone, pay them to put on my shelf. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Long story short, after those experiences, my only goal in PR is really to serve clients
Hmm.
that I align with. And now we're changing industries. Well, I'm trying to change industries, but
Okay.
a certain group or a certain genre, they always gravitate towards me, and I appreciate that. I thought, okay, you know what? I wanted to be finished with dealing with celebrities and dealing with the celebrity culture.
Hmm.
I took a break since my accident since October. I took
Right.
a break, and I wanted to go into aviation because I wanted
Okay.
to deal with more the private, sector, dealing with, a different genre.
Hmm.
So now it looks like I need to serve maybe both, but in doing so, I just want to make sure that if anybody calls me or if there is an incident where somebody needs, hey, I need 5, 10 grand, and I don't lend money. I
Hmm.
give, right. So and then so that's what I want to do. I always want to be in a position where I can be a support, not
Yeah.
only to myself but to my loved ones, to my community. Sometimes you go to a church and somebody may lose a home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you may need to assist somebody in funding a trip. You know what I mean?
Oh no,
So
I know.
I'm not trying to be, but if I hello, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm still here. I got you. I didn't lose you. Did you? You can hear me? Hello, Petrona. I think you froze. Hello.
Okay, you froze up.
Oh,
Are you
okay.
there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
one of us froze up. I'm not sure what happened, but that's
I'm
okay.
here. Okay. But like I was saying, I just want to be happy. I want to be able to hop on a plane whenever I want to
Hmm.
and go to those villas and Turks and Caicos, just meet my family and close ones and just enjoy my life. That's really all I want to do. Hop on a plane, go to Paris, go shopping, experience life. And
Hmm.
in order to experience life, Alex, you need money.
Yeah.
So that's why I work really hard. And being here in Atlanta, I'm new here, you
Okay.
know? And Atlanta has so many amazing publicists. I mean, the publicists here,
Hmm.
they're powerhouses, And some of them are freelance, some of them have agencies. And so, really, really finding my way through that. I'm still finding my way through that. So wish me luck.
Oh, listen, I know you're going to be very successful, and I've seen it. I watched it, and I've talked to
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for your vouch of
But
confidence.
what you're doing is an amazing thing, Petrona. I think
Thank you.
I feel like you're one of the elite ones because of what you put there for people. And
Okay.
that's why, the gravitation, where I feel like talking to you and through emails, you're always sweet. Hey, nothing right now, but I'll let you know. You
Mhm.
always answered back, and that's something I always respect because a lot of people don't even email you back, don't even give you the time of day. So, I mean, I've emailed I don't know how many PR people, and I never heard back. And there was maybe one or two, and then I'm like, hey, that's good. I'm happy. I got a reply.
Right. Yeah.
And so, like you, I try to be who I think I could be the best of.
Hmm.
When I first started, yeah, I wanted to be top dog. Now, I just want to make sure when people leave the show, they're happy. When they go back to you and you're like, you could say, "Wow, he was great," or "Wow, he was horrible. I'm never going to deal with that again." But
Right.
you know what I mean? It all goes back to people like you, goes back to other clients, to them say, "Hey, you know what? I was on his show. This was fun. You need to do this."
Mm.
It's all about word of mouth. And that's
Mhm.
how I try to perceive myself, like fun loving, you know, we can be serious, we could be joking, we could be whatever. That's why I don't do scripts. I can't because you want it to be free flowing and have
Hmm.
fun.
Yes, absolutely. You want to have a
So
conversation.
yeah, just like, like if we were there if I was in Atlanta right now, I would love to have that conversation face to face, but I'm glad to be doing this with you too. But,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, um, I know you got things to get going to do tonight, and I really, I really enjoyed having you on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
I do wish you huge amount of success.
Thank you.
I hope you get everything you need this year. I hope 2025 turns out to be the year you really hope for. I
Oh,
could
thank you.
I could say that. And before we do sign off, let everybody know where they could find you actually.
Absolutely. Well, you can find me primarily on Instagram at I am Petrona Joseph. There's only one with the blue check mark. LinkedIn, very simple, Petrona Joseph. But then if you Google me, you'll see all my social platforms. But I prefer Instagram or LinkedIn or email.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I won't put the email, but I will put your link tree and your Instagram on my show notes.
Okay, perfect.
So not to worry, I got you covered.
Thank you.
Guys, I want to say right here, by the way, I've been to Turks and Caicos. When you said that, I was like, yes.
Turks and Caicos, come on.
Oh,
Well, like, listen,
I I
I
stayed
almost went there for a month in October.
I went
If
there
I
for my
didn't have my
honeymoon.
accent, you went there for what?
My honeymoon.
Oh, come on. Where did you stay? Like, which Providenciales?
Uh,
Which island?
all I know is one
The
of
main
the main
island?
island where
So
Grace Bay Club.
Provinciales.
Yeah.
Oh,
Where
Grand Bay? Did you stay on Grand Bay?
yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I'll tell you when we sign off.
What a
As you can,
dream. What a dream island. Oh,
oh my
God.
God. Yes. We could talk about that on a whole other show, actually, because we're
Sure.
definitely, but no, Petrona, thank you so much. And like I
Oh,
always
thank
say,
you.
dreams come true. She is living proof right here.
Oh,
9 years
thank
in the
you.
business, and an honor to have you here tonight.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, Petrona. And guys, like I said, if you work hard, you grind it out, you will be successful, and dreams do come true, guys. Best way is right here with all my guests that come on the show. It's happening. So thank you again. And I always end the show with nothing but love, peace, and happiness. Good night, everybody.